Hello, guys. The chapter 8 of our book, Introduction to Sociology, is the last chapter of the book, has four aims, four objectives. Um, those objectives are, first of all, explaining the social dimensions of to you. Under, I'm sorry. Um, These objectives are, first of all, explaining the social dimensions of law to you, and the second one, understanding the basic subjects and aims of sociology of law, explaining the concepts of deviance, and lastly, evaluating the basic approach developed with regard to crime and deviance. First of all, explaining the social dimensions of law. This chapter, the chapter 8 of Introduction to Sociology, underlines the significance of examining the concept of law in social context. It also underlines that understanding the interaction between society and the law is a crucial subject in the sociology of law. By approaching the concepts of law as a social phenomenon, the chapter distinguishes it from an understanding of law that's purely associated with regulations and its official interpretations like constitution. Obviously, such an approach to law emphasizes that throughout history, legal systems have transformed by interacting with social changes. The rules and the regulations within the law here is considered as a product of social realities within a particular context. They are discussed in relation to a particular social characteristic of the context in which they have flourished. Law in here is considered as a social institution, not only as a legal institution, which means that it born and developed in relation to various issues that are frequently discussed in the field of sociology, such as religion, morality, customs and conventions, traditions, norms, or values. The chapter also proposes some distinctions between, for example, values and what we call law. It suggests that values, norms, and religious and the moral rules, manners or customs as well, are learned by new generations in the course of education and socialization process. On the other hand, law means that the ruling guide, the social life, are expressed in a written form and systemized so as to cover sanctions to be imposed by the political and ruling authority, which means state. As can be understood, this chapter also provides a quite clear explanatory brief on a certain concepts such as values, norms, anomie, fashion rules, religious rules, moral rules, and manners, as well as customs. Apart from this, the chapter 8 also aims to provide you a basic understanding of the fundamental subjects, like subjects and aims of the sociology of law. In this regard, it briefly repeats that the sociology of law examines law as a product of social process, investigates how law is born from social life and its interaction with social life. Emphasizing that the sociology of law is divided into two categories. It points out theoretical sociology of law, and it also points out applied sociology of law. The last chapter of the Introduction to Sociology also provides you a general characteristic of the sociology of law as, first of all, it determines the law as a social phenomenon. Second, it investigates the relationship between legal developments and social change. It also examines the social events that influence the formations of concepts of law. It also examines the formations and developments of legal rules in the course of history. It also touches upon the types of legal organizations. This presentation is followed by a brief on the subjects commonly studied in the field of sociology of law. These are summarized, for example, this can be summarized as justifications, functions, placement, and evolutions of the social control system, legal forms of thought in relation to particular political economic order, and legitimizing principles and effects. Besides that, transfer of correct legal forms and of interpretations, and also the evolutions of the legal language system, the levels of constraints or freedom in the legal order. Um, in the framework of its third aim, that is explaining the concepts of deviance on sociological basis, the chapter 8 emphasized that the violations of visible norms and the cultural norms can be defined as deviance in quite a number of societies. Deviance in here is closely related to the social structure and the culture that has emerged as a social phenomenon. Deviance depends on cultural norms. In the context of social life, defining process of the norm and the violations of the rules also include the social power. While explaining the concept of deviance, the chapter 8 refers to various sociological theories. These are biological theories, these are physiological theories, and of course, sociological theories. It emphasizes that sociological theories related with deviance focus on the differences between what we call criminals and other individuals, along with the social environment that affects the individual. Underlining that the sociological theories of deviance share some common points. It states six important points. These are, first of all, deviance is seen in all societies and compromised of functions that can be useful from a social point of view. And when these functions are resolved, the crime will be better understood. The second, deviance is associated with differences between social classes. The third one is deviance is related to the tension, constraints, and the stress within the society. The fourth one is deviance is strongly related to the modern urban life, and deviance is learned from daily life station, which was the fifth one. And lastly, deviance is caused by lack of commitment to the group values and the principles of compliance with laws. Lastly, the chapter turns to discuss the basic approach developed with regard to crime and deviance. It emphasized that biological and physiological approach search for the source of deviance in humans' genes, psychological and personal traits, and thus consider deviance as a disease. Sociological approach, on the other hand, focuses on the society rather than individual, and they try to explain the formations of deviance in the socialization process of individuals. Pointing out various theories, distinctive approach to the deviance, various theories, distinctive perspectives on what we call deviance. The chapter discusses on functionalist theory, Marxist, and interactive approach, as well as Chicago School and the structural approach to deviance. This chapter also opens up an additional discussion to inform readers about what social control means. And how social control is handled in the field of sociology. Identifying the concepts of social control as a strategy and techniques aimed at preventing the deviant human behavior in society in order to achieve social order, it provides a basic sense of what social control means. It also points out that social control is an attempt to regulate the thoughts and behaviors of people, and everyone in a society is subject to social control. Um, Providing a brief on a summary on social control theory, this chapter discusses that social control theory is a theoretical framework that which aims to explain the deviant behavior. It emphasized that the social control theory underlines the importance, significance of individual socialization process in terms of creating compliance with social norms. The social control theory has been supported with many concrete data, such as higher crime rates in big cities where personal ties decline in the social context. Thank you for watching.